All right, here we go. Thursday morning in New York City. The Boomer and Geo program coming to you live from the Built Ford Tub Studio. 877-337-6666. The number to join. G still out on some tropical island doing something that we're not doing and having a blast doing, I'm sure. So he'll be back on Monday. I sit until 10 o'clock. We got lots to get to. We've got the Dodgers-Padres starting up again. Perhaps another bet today. Not sure. That did not go well yesterday. But you never know. We got the Shohei Ohtani story, which we'll get to as well, which is really weird, and he is in the lineup for the Dodgers today. And we are 1 week away from the start of the actual baseball season in terms of the Mets and the Yankees. Good morning, Boomer Esiason. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Jerry. Good to see you today. And it's kind of interesting. You talk about making possibly another bet on the Dodgers and San Diego Padres. And out of yesterday's news with Shohei Ohtani, it is big. It is huge. It is a major scandal happening. It is a massive story. You know, it's either as simple as one of two things. Either Shohei Ohtani paid off his interpreter's bets, or his interpreter was making bets for Shohei Ohtani that he ended up having to pay off. Mm-hmm. And we got two different stories coming out of Korea, by the way.
And they were conflicting within the same day.
That's right. So the interpreter, basically, I don't want to mispronounce his name, Ipi Masuzara, I believe, something like that. Is now been fired by the Dodgers. He gave a quote to a South Korean news outlet that Shohei Ohtani understood that he had a betting problem and that Shohei Ohtani was going to transfer $4.5 million to pay off those gambling debts. Now, the interesting thing about these gambling debts, they weren't with a gambling house or some legal entity. This is with a bookie in Los Angeles, which is a completely illegal operation. And Ippy basically said that he did not know that it was illegal and that Shohei knew that this was a big problem and that Shohei, because they were so tight and so close and been like a brotherhood, that's how their relationship had been described, was going to do him a favor and pay all this off, and he was going to be able to stop gambling and all of that other stuff. All right, so that's the first story. Mm-hmm. That is the first story. The second story that comes out from Shohei Ohtani's attorneys, and says that Shohei Ohtani is a victim of fraud and basically
major theft.
Major theft. Now, let me ask you a question, Jerry. If somebody transferred $4.5 million from your private account to a bookie, you've given your friend access to have the ability to do that?
I would not think so.
No, of course not.
No.
So Shohei Ohtani is definitely involved. Now, whether or not he was the one placing the bets or if he was placing the bets for him, I don't know that. We don't know that. You know, a lot of people can allege that, but we don't have proof that that's the case. You know, could it be a reasonable thing where Shohei Ohtani was paying for his buddy and try to get his buddy out of trouble? Part of me can see that. I could see that, but there's another part of me that sees that the guy could be placing bets for Shohei Ohtani.
Sure.
I could see that too. So Major League Baseball has got a mess on their hands. The Dodgers have got a mess on their hands. Shohei Ohtani's got a mess on his hands. And, you know, this story's got a long way to go before we actually find out what in the world went on here. But you can't sit here and tell me, I wasn't born yesterday, that somebody had the ability to transfer $4.5 million to some crooked bookie out in Los Angeles out of one's account. That just, no way.
And so the first thing that I thought of when I read this story was, what if the bookie speaks and the bookie tells you that there were bets made on baseball?
Well, the bookie basically has not said that.
I didn't say that. I said, What if it, because as you just said, this is just the start of what's going to be, I would think, a lengthy investigation. You got a lot of tentacles here.
And that bookie got arrested, by the way.
Yes. So what if, and I was playing the what if game, but what if it came out that his interpreter was placing bets on baseball? Now, supposedly it was just on soccer. A chance. Yeah. Supposedly it was just on soccer and things of that nature. And NBA, but if the bookie says that there were bets made on baseball, and if it ever got back to Ohtani, I mean, you talk about the Dodgers having a mess?
Yes.
Major League Baseball would have a gigantic mess on their hands because of Pete Rose. I mean, that's how far this could go.
Of course.
If, in fact, anybody ever came out and found some proof to back that.
All right, so we are in the beginning throes of this, so we don't know all the tentacles, as you put it. of what is going on here. I would just say that either Shohei Ohtani comes out and says, yeah, my interpreter, my best friend, my brother from another mother, whatever, screwed up. He's got a gambling problem, and I tried to help him, and I admit that I paid $4.5 million to an illegal bookie to keep them off of Ippy Masuzara, I think his name is. So if he says that, I think it's kind of simple, but then you got all sorts of tax implications and everything else that Shohei Ohtani will have to deal with. So there's no way in the world that this interpreter had the ability to transfer money out of Shohei Ohtani's accounts, unless there was a shadow account that Shohei Ohtani was putting money into that he did have access to.
Right.
But it didn't look like that way. And by the way, it was reported that the bookie was claiming that Shohei Ohtani was one of his clients.
Well, this
is that's the thing that really makes me wonder about exactly what the bookie is going to say to try to, minimize his sentencing, his guilt, in order to trap the big fish, if in fact that's what the case is.
And as you point out, there's no legal betting yet in California. I'm sure it's coming down the pike, but I don't think there is
you can't bet
yet.
Here with a bookie either.
No. But I'm saying the only way to bet is to do it this way. So I don't think there's any dispute in that regard in terms of where the bets were placed. Like, no one's going to sit there and say, well, some were with BetMGM or FanDuel, and then there were some here. No, this was all illegal through a bookie on top of the fact that we don't know exactly what was bet and who made the bets.
Well, it's $4.5 million, and according to Ippy Masuzara, that Shohei Ohtani made no bets, did not get involved. This is the interpreter, and of course, some people out there, not all people, but some people out there, are basically saying that Ippy's taking the fall. He's the guy that's taking the fall. He was the one that was placing the bets, if in fact you believe that's the story. I mean, there's like 5 different ways that we can go here. I don't want to accuse Shohei Ohtani of anything other than, at the moment, being a decent friend and maybe trying to help his guy out because he's worth $1 billion.
Right. And then to think about, and I can't, listen, the money we're talking about is crazy, obviously, but the notion that anyone would have access to your accounts like they are claiming that he did, there's no chance.
No way.
I mean, you've been around the block a long time with a lot of people. Is there anybody in your world other than your family that might have access to your financials?
Not to that level. Not
No.
to that level.
And so that's why this whole thing is just a bizarre story. And I thought about this, too, with the Dodgers. 2 of their last, they've had many significant signings,
right,
but a couple of their big-ticket signings, you think about this, you think about the way the Trevor Bauer stuff went. Very quickly, things off the rails.
I think the thing about the Trevor Bauer thing is that, he wasn't found guilty of anything.
I know that.
And he got railroaded, and, he's still paying the price for it.
I'm just talking about the controversy that the Dodgers have dealt with a couple of big signings over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I am. But the point is that Trevor Bauer is not playing baseball and is basically being blackballed from Major League Baseball because of that particular issue that he went through. And as he's explained himself, and as if you've read the transcripts and you've looked at the supposed victim's words to her friends in their text messages, you could see that she was setting him up. So, and he's still out of baseball. This is like, this goes right to the integrity of the game. And if your biggest star is betting on other sports, supposedly at this point, but covering gambling debts of that size or making bets of that size, of course you got an issue. And, we all know that inevitably, because of the legalization of gambling, that things like this are going to happen. This isn't going to be the first one, and it's certainly not going to be the last one. Just like Calvin Ridley. It's just there are going to be athletes that can't help themselves. Look, we had a radio host here that couldn't help himself.
Sure.
And we saw it in our own eyes, how debilitating it can be if you have this issue. Now, according to everything thus far, it looks like Ippy's taken the fall. So maybe he was the guy that had the issue, and maybe Ohtani was supporting him and trying to get him out of it and try to do a solid by him. But you would think that Shohei Ohtani would talk to his agents, would talk to his lawyers about how to do this in a way that doesn't implicate him. But right now, we're all sitting here thinking that in some way, shape, or form, it's a nefarious thing that he's implicated in.
All right, so how does baseball handle this then now? We know they've had trouble getting out of their own way with a few different things. So now you've got these two games in Korea. Today's the second of the two. Ohtani is playing. Then they're going to come back, and you've got until next Thursday where you're back to spring training games before the real start of the season next week. Does Rob Manfred come out? Do you address it immediately? Does the investigation
I think
start
they did.
immediately?
Well, they did. They said, look, we know of the stories. The Dodgers have said the same things. We are now aware of the media stories. We are aware of them. We are going to investigate them, and we will do what we would normally do in a situation like this. And I think Major League Baseball would do the same. I don't think they're going to rush to judgment, but I do think that they're going to sit down with the player. I think they'll sit down with the player representatives, and I think the union will be involved, and I think that they will try to get to the bottom of what the real truth is here and find out what's going on. And it like I said, it's two things. It's $4.5 million, so it's not like $450,000. $4.5 million. And number two, it's an illegal transaction with an illegal bookie.
Yeah.
Those are big situations, and those are the type of people that all professional sports are afraid of. Those are those characters still exist.
Well, you saw the J.B. Bickerstaff story, did you
Yes,
not?
I did.
The Cavaliers head coach talking about getting threatening phone calls and text messages about his game, about his team's games from gamblers. I mean, I've always thought that gambling sports betting would become legal at some point in this country. But I actually thought when it became legal, things like that would go away. And I don't know that it's any better or any worse.
Well, I would just say that, we're talking about three particular issues out of a potential of 10 million issues. So when it does happen, it is a big story. It is front page or back page, and it creates quite the firestorm. If it is Shohei Ohtani and he is betting and he is writing illegal checks to a bookmaker, that's a mess. That is a mess. And Major League Baseball has got to come down on somebody, no matter who they are, and they got to come down hard on them. Much like they came down hard on Pete Rose. I'm sorry. It's a credibility, integrity issue, and they're going to have to go and figure out how they're going to handle this. But they cannot be lenient when it comes to something like this if Shohei Ohtani is involved in the way that reading, of course, reading on the internet, you got to be careful, but you're reading a lot of replies and a lot of opinions, and they're all over the place. Some are saying that Ippy's the fall guy. Other guys are saying that he was the one that had the problem. Shohei was a great friend and helped him out. I mean, so you're seeing all different types of reactions and opinions out there. I would just say, and I do believe that there is no way in the world that Shohei Ohtani does not know that $4.5 million is going to an illegal bookie.
I completely agree. And
I'm sorry, I can't buy into the fact that he wouldn't know about that.
And we're a long ways away from Shohei Ohtani being responsible for the betting as opposed to it being his interpreter or his ex-interpreter doing it. That having been said, when you think about baseball trying to get out of its own way and the lack of popularity to the sport, it is amazing how Mike Trout can't stay on the field. Mike Trout was the face of baseball for how long? Can't stay on the field because of injury. Then along comes Aaron Judge, who is, I love the guy. He is a phenomenal baseball player. Cannot stay on the field because of injury, aside from his walk year where he hits the 62 home runs. And then you got Shohei Ohtani, who signs a $700 million contract, is now the face of baseball. And again, we are a long ways away from anything developing into a huge scandal involving him. But at the forefront now, or the very start of this, it's just another superstar face of baseball that could go sideways.
I know, but what about Mookie Betts and Freddie
What
Freeman?
about them? They're not the faces of baseball.
I know, but I'm just saying Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. They're great players, or they're all stars.
Yeah, but this would be like Patrick Mahomes that can't stay on the field.
I understand that, but again, it's one player, it's one set of circumstances.
But it's the best player.
Hey, look, all I can tell you is that they're going to have to do a. They're going to have to do a deep dive into this to find out exactly what is going on here. And if it somehow comes back that Shohei Ohtani or his interpreter was placing bets for him at this level, and also with an illegal bookie, then Major League Baseball has got to suspend him for a significant amount of time.
Yes, and it puts a cloud over the season and over Ohtani for likely the entire season, because an investigation like this is not going to be over in 2 weeks.
And
it's
by
going to
the
be
way,
lengthy and detailed.
Let me just give you a little bit of the Major League Baseball CBA gambling policy that was published by Spotrac today on Twitter. It's basically no betting on baseball, no full, partial, daily fantasy baseball gameplay, no use of illegal bookmarks or betting sites, bookmakers or betting sites. Did you hear that? No use of illegal bookmakers or betting sites. Illegal. That's a big one right here.
Yes.
Okay, MLB players may place legal bets on sporting events other than baseball games and baseball events, provided that the person placing the bet is eligible under applicable laws to the place of the wager. And this whole aspect to it is illegal, and it violates one of the covenants of the CBA. So all I know is that we are in the throes of something that could be about as ugly as it gets, or it could be as simple as Shohei Ohtani was trying to help his buddy.
Either way, still connected to an illegal bookmaker.
Some way, but
either way.
Yeah, I mean, and then you got to find out whether or not he was the one making the bets. And again, I wasn't born yesterday, but I also don't want to make allegations of something that I don't know enough about at this point. I don't want to sit here and say, hey, there's no way that Shohei wasn't involved in betting. I will say, however, there's no way that Shohei didn't know that $4.5 million of his money was going to an illegal bookmaker.
And that's a problem. All right, we'll take a timeout. We are just getting started. 6:17 on the Fan and CBS Sports Network. Coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio. We'll get CeeLo in here with all the details and all the sounds from yesterday. It is the Boomer and Geo program on this wonderful Thursday.
And Jerry's in the power chair today.